Sanatorium, Louisville, KY. In 1910, the Waverly Hills Sanatorium opened as a state-of-the-art tuberculosis hospital. At the time, tuberculosis was an extremely deadly disease, and patients would have to be isolated from the general public. One of the most talked about haunted places in the sanatorium is the body chute or death tunnel. A railcar would transport dead bodies from the top of the hill to the bottom, so that other patients wouldn't see the bodies being carried out. The tunnel is said to be haunted by some of the rumored 63,000 patients who died at the hospital. In 1928, Mary Hillenberg was found hanging from the doorway in room 502. At first, it was suspected she committed suicide, as she had recently been impregnated by a married doctor. Instead, it was found the doctor staged the suicide after Hillenberg died during the abortion he gave her. Bachelor's Grove Cemetery, Bremen Township. On the outskirts of Chicago lies one of the most haunted cemeteries in the world. The small isolated graveyard originally was the burial place for an immigrant community in 1844. It is rumored that Al Capone and other gangsters would dump dead bodies into the pond next to the cemetery, although it has never been verified. Satanists are also known to have met in this desolate area to perform black magic. A white lady is said to appear during the time of full moons. A photographed image of her even appeared on the cover of the Chicago Sun-Times in 1991. Ghost hunters have searched the cemetery and reported seeing numerous erratic orbs, which they believe is proof of a ghostly presence. Eastern State Penitentiary, Philadelphia. Eastern State Penitentiary opened in 1829 as the first solitary confinement prison. Prisoners were alone at all times, and when inmates were transported, they were even covered with hoods so they could not see any other inmates. The solitary confinement is believed to have driven prisoners crazy. Overcrowding soon ended the solitary system. The most notable inmate was Al Scarface Capone, serving time in his first sentence from 1929 to 1930. Prison time in Eastern State was easy for Capone, who had an oriental rug, radio, and other fine features in his room. Famous bank robbers William Francis Sutton and William Blackie Zupkowski also spent time here. Since the penitentiary was abandoned in 1971, rumors of footsteps, hearing noises, and ominous orbs swirled. Paranormal television shows such as Sci-Fi's Ghost Hunters and MTV's Fear have investigated the prison. Lemp Mansion, St. Louis. In 1838, John Adam Lemp arrived in St. Louis from Germany. Unlike most other immigrants, however, his family would soon see success, tragic suicides, and mysterious deaths. In 1870, the Lemp family was the symbol of wealth in St. Louis, owning a brewery that covered 5 blocks. The first suicide occurred in 1904 when William Lemp, John's son, killed himself after the death of his favorite son 3 years earlier. 3 of William's children also committed suicide. William's daughter, Elsa, killed herself in 1920, her brother William Jr. shot himself years later when the business went under, and her brother Charles shot himself in the basement in 1949. In 1970, the only remaining son, and the only one to die of natural causes, passed away and had his caretaker destroy all family heirlooms. The estate was sold and turned into a boarding house, although many boarders were too scared by the voices they heard to stay there very long. The Myrtles Plantation, St. Francisville. The Myrtles Plantation was built in 1796 by David Bradford, and was the site of as many as 10 murders. As legend goes, Chloe, a slave on the plantation, had one of her ears chopped off by her master for eavesdropping. Chloe sought revenge by baking a poisonous cake intended for her master. The plan didn't work as intended, and she killed 2 of her slave master's daughters. Chloe was then hanged for her crime by other servants. Chloe and the girls she killed still haunt the grounds of the plantation to this day. Chloe can be seen with the same turban she wore when living to hide her missing ear. Researchers haven't been able to prove that a slave named Chloe ever existed on the plantation, but don't tell that to ghost enthusiasts. Today, guests can stay and eat in the same house Chloe presumably haunts.